All right, I'm going to get started. And for those of you who are new, who just came in here, my name is Jeff Scott. I'm the instructor for the class. I gave each of you, the new people, um, a flash drive, and it's got this stuff on it. The rest of you, I figured it's all been sent to you anyway. But what I want to do before we even go over this, if you're a new student at 9 o'clock, they want you to go over to the other building. You know where that is, I take it, right? Just walk down there, and there's another orientation. I'm not even going to comment on it because it's probably going to be three-quarters of it you've already heard. All right, but they make everybody go through and do that anyway. All right, so you're going to have to leave at about 5 to 9 and walk over there. Just you'll walk into the building. When you walk in, that's what's known as the small hall right there. If you walk to the end of the building on the left, there's a bigger room that's called the large hall. They're going to have people in there, but you should be able to be spaced out, okay, from what I've heard. All right. I asked both of you, and it sounds like you're both good on badges, and and you're going to fix your parking pass. That's all fine. We do have one more new person who's not here yet. I'm hoping he's going to be here, and that's James. All right. Also, the James we had last semester is going to a different program, so he's left. Jameer, for a while, will be taking the class online because he doesn't have an automobile. Told me he lost his, maybe I shouldn't say that, but he lost his automobile during the break. So we're trying to work something out with him, and he's trying to get another automobile so he can come in here. All right. I'm also, not that it's a big thing to any of you, but just so you know, this is my new machine. I wish I would have brought it home during the break. I didn't. And since I didn't, I've been loading stuff on it all morning to try to get it all ready, but it's not ready yet. So this is the old machine. This is the new machine. I typically won't be working here with two different machines. All right. I'm sure there'll be something today that I'll want to tell you that I'll forget to tell you. But what I want to do is I want to make sure, good morning, come on in. I want to make sure that everybody gets started on the download for the software that we're going to need to use for the class. James? Okay. All right. So, with your machines open, what I'd like you to do, and you can do this in two ways, but probably the easiest way is to just go in and Google download Visual Studio 2019. And if that seems to be too much work for you, I'll give you the actual URL that you can go to too. All right. And that is right here. Now let's see if I can grab it. New text document. Come on. All right. And I'll blow this up. All right. Is that big enough? Everybody can see that all right? Yes? Okay. Okay. You don't need the https:// If you just put in visualstudio.microsoft.com/downloads, you should be fine. All right. Good. I see you've got a badge. Have you taken care of your parking pass?
I'm fine. Okay, at 9 o'clock, can go down to the building?
Yeah, at 9 o'clock, right. The three of you, you're the three newbies, so to speak, and you will be going down at 9 o'clock to the other building for an orientation. All right? Okay. All right. I'll give you a second. Some of you are just getting your machines on. I understand that. All right. What you should see when you go here to this URL, what you should see is this. Am I right in assuming that's what everybody sees?
Yeah.
All right. And again, I'm going to give you a second. I want to make sure that you got time to catch up. Now, just so you can see, as you can probably guess, the enterprise and the professional, you pay for. Well, one of the goals that I've always had in this program is you don't have to pay for any software. So as you probably guess, what we're going to choose is the community. And as you can see, it says free download. The other ones have free trials, and I think you get them for like a month. So what's the difference between the two? All right. Much of the differences that are in there are things we would never touch on anyway. There's like a lot of different reporting features and stuff that are in the paid versions. We don't work with that stuff anyway. All right. I can tell you with 100% certainty that everything that you will need will be available to you in the community edition. All right. It's definitely strong enough, powerful enough, etc. All right. So again, just so you know, James, there it is, visualstudio.microsoft.com/downloads. And the reason I want to do this is, as you probably guess, it's a Microsoft product and it's big. So hopefully, and I don't know with the download speeds in here, they can be real spotty. Sometimes stuff downloads fast, sometimes it doesn't. All right. So with everybody there, like I said, if you choose the free download, just click on the button right there. And it says get help with installing. I don't think any of you are going to need any help with that. There's tutorials. Well, we're going to be doing a lot of this stuff. All right. And the only thing I want to tell you is, you might say, well, gee, yeah, fine. I'm just going to jump ahead. You don't need to download everything that's in here. They've got a bunch of stuff, like they've got Python and some other stuff on here. Feel free to download it. It's your machine, but you won't need it. All right. So somewhere in here, and I haven't looked probably well enough, but let's see. Thank you for downloading. Your download will start shortly. There it is. So it should be, since I'm using Chrome, it comes in and it shows down here. All right. Hopefully yours is doing something similar. And if it's not, you're going to have to let me know. Other than James here, I can't see anyone's computer. All right. And, so for that reason, I'm not going to be able to tell. So if you've got problems with anything with the download, please let me know. It's totally fine. All right. So I'm going to right mouse click on here and I'm going to choose open. Now, if yours is still loading, it might say open when done. Either way, that should be okay. All right, but I'm just going to click open. And what you oftentimes get is this. Even if it's your machine, you may or may not get this. If you get it, fine. If you don't get it, it's fine. But it's saying to me, hey, you've got to be an administrator basically to do this. Well, I am. It's my machine, so to speak. It's the school's, but I just click yes. All right. And it says before you get started, we need to do a few things so that you can configure your installation. All right, so I'm going to click the continue button here, and it's bringing up the installer. Now, eventually, I think, unless they have changed this, because I didn't do this, like I said, over the break, but I know I did the install last year. It would come up last year, and it would have a whole bunch of options in it, probably somewhere around a half dozen to a dozen options. We only have to choose one or two of them, which is good because it means that the download that we do will take less time. So here's what you see. Now, I'm not an expert at all on this stuff, but there's a few things I do want to mention to you. All right. First of all, the class that those of you who started last semester, the class you will take in fall used to be in ASP.NET. We used to teach that in here in the third semester. We no longer do. We now teach Node.js. So I used to have people download that, but there's really no reason to. You can, but it's just a lot of bloat unless you're going to use it. Really, in here, the stuff that's in here, we don't need Azure. We do Node now in the third semester, but we don't do it using Visual Studio. All right? We're not doing Python. The stuff that's in here, I don't even know what a lot of it is, but the one that you do want to check is the one that says desktop and mobile, and it's got .NET desktop development. You want to make sure you check right there. And again, if I'm going too fast or you don't see it or whatever, please let me know, okay? All right, and it's got a bunch of stuff it puts in here. You should be able to just keep the defaults. It should be just fine. All right. So with that, you've got here total space required. Notice it's 6 gig. So it's not going to be like that and it's done. All right. So just click the button here that says install. And Now we're going to wait a while on that installation. So it'll take a while before it's done installing. So I'm going to minimize this. Don't click your X. You don't want to close it, but I'm going to click the minus sign here to minimize. All right, so I can go back and start actually talking about the syllabus and, more or less, for lack of better words, what the class is about. Let's see, where are we here? There we go. All right, so the number of the course is AWD. AWD is the program that you are now in. It's application and website development. Now, other than the 3 of you that are right here, the 4 of you that are here took the first class last semester. That class was AWD1100, which was called Web Development Technologies. That's the one you 3 will take, hopefully, in fall. Okay? So this one, as it says, is Programming Fundamentals with C#. As they mentioned right there, we meet Monday through Friday at this time, 8:05 a.m. till 11:55 a.m. I think these gentlemen who are here will tell you that basically you will be here every day until 11:55. All right. Now, last year, a year ago, when none of you were here, after the break, COVID got so bad that we went remote for the rest of the semester. I don't anticipate that happening. It's always possible. Of course, if it does, we'll let you know. All right. If you haven't heard this already, and this is something, fortunately or unfortunately, you're going to hear about this morning, if you're sick, don't come in. All right. Especially if you're sick and you're coughing, you've got a fever, or you've got any symptoms of COVID, don't come in. All right. We have had people in this program last semester who had COVID. They had them over there. We have had instructors in this institution. I've been fortunate so far. All right. I've got 3 grown daughters, and my oldest daughter, who lives out in St. Peter's, she had COVID. All right. So, like I said, if anything does happen, every morning, if you didn't do so already, you'll be scanned. You've probably been told this already, and you've got to get the band. You really should have that band on at all times. I will tell you, if you haven't seen her already, Ms. Bruggeman, who is around the corner here, she's the site director. All right. She will walk around, and if she sees you without a band, she will ask you right away where it is. It's just one of those things that for now it's expected. You're expected to have a mask on. The mask is expected, and Gabriel, it's expected that it's going to cover your entire nose, okay, and it's going to cover your mouth. All right. And if it's not, and somebody sees it, I'm supposed to say something if I see somebody walking in the hall, even if they're not one of my students. I've done that already, and I've had people look at me like, who the hell are you? All right. And I get that. But, that's just the way that it's supposed to be around here. All right. Okay. So let's see. It says welcome. If you do get this thing that comes up, just say not now, maybe later as far as signing in. Don't worry about that. All right. It's asking me. I'm going to use the default right here. All right. And it's going to say to start. Well, that sure didn't take long if it's done. But I want to keep going through this. So I think we meet. I'll tell you quickly in case you care. Let's see. If you don't know this already, a week from Monday is Martin Luther King Day. The 18th, I believe that is. No class. Monday, February 15th is President's Day. They take off here for President's Day. No class. I'll remind you about these beforehand. The last week in March that goes into April, I think it's 29th, 30th, 31st, the 1st of April, and the 2nd of April, that's when our spring break is. It's a lot later than it was last year. It's like 2 or 3 weeks later than it was last year. All right. And May 7th, I believe. So just really exactly 4 months from today, we're done. Those are just some dates to keep in mind. And I'll bring those up to you again. All right. All right. So if you don't know this already, again, it's just, I guess, basically for the new people, when you step out of here, If you make a left and you make an immediate right, that's where the bathrooms are. All right, they've cut it down because of COVID. All right, that really only one of the sit-down stalls is open right now. Right below that is the other bathroom. All right, if instead of making a right to go into the restroom, you made a left, it's like a broom closet, but right below that, that's where the lounge is. All right, and there are machines in there that have soda, they have, energy drinks, and food. All right. We don't. I still say that if they brought a food truck in here every day, they'd make a lot of money, but they're not doing it. All right. Okay. So here's my information. I will tell you, I'm almost never in the office, and the reason for that is I'm in here from 8 o'clock, 8:05. Really, I get here every day by 6, but I'm here from 6 o'clock in the morning until noon. Then my other class starts at 12:05, and it goes until 3:55. By that time, I just want to get the hell out of here. All right. So, I mean, I go into my office to drop stuff off in the morning and to pick stuff up. That's why, the way that our email works is it goes to voicemail. All right. Or our voicemail goes to email too. So, that kind of thing. So that is my email. That's the better way to get a hold of me. So if you don't make the first right, but you make the second right and you make a quick right, that's where our offices are. Mr. Corrigan sits there and I sit there. So does Mr. Grow-Herring, who's in the afternoon, and Mr. Knott, who's in here in the evening. All right. So, don't know how that happened, but when you look in here, what this is saying, and I'm not going to read anything to you. I believe you're all smart enough that you can read what's on the screen right now. But the point is that when you take a look at what's in here, really, we do nothing with website development design in this class. We do use object-oriented principles, but not until much later in the semester. All right? And we do, not that we create data-driven web applications, but we do look at SQL this semester. We look a little bit at stored procedures this semester. All right? And we will talk about version control, and that's especially for you new people, all right, because I don't know how much experience you do or do not have with that. So we'll talk about it. All right. The textbook, and I have been told already, why are you using a book that says 2015? We're using 2019 software. They actually have a new version of this book. You guys have heard this song and dance before. The way that it works at Rankin is December 31st, all right, not of this year, but of last year, well, not of last year, of 2019, we had to have book orders in for the 2020-2021 semester. So we already, a couple weeks ago, we had to have our book orders in for next year. That's just the way it works, and it's all this federal stuff and everything else. So the next time this class is taught after this, they've got a new one that's called 7th edition C#. That's the one that we'll use. I've already looked at it. They haven't sent me a hard copy, but they sent me an electronic copy, and it's very similar to this book. All right, but this is the book we're going to use. No, we're not going to go through every single chapter and every single page that's in this book. There's just, maybe you're that good. I'm sure as heck not that good. All right, but that's the book. All right, I have my own YouTube playlist. All right, it's my own YouTube channel with a playlist on it. So if you do click on that, all right, it'll take you out there to it. And if you do, it already has probably 50 or 60 lectures in it. And those lectures I did a year ago, but one of the things that I'm giving all of you, and you three have gotten it already, and I'm going to give it to the rest of you a little bit later, are the slides, the PowerPoints that go with the book. I don't go over PowerPoints. If you've taken one of those classes where the teacher sits and reads PowerPoints to you, I think these guys here will agree, we never looked at a PowerPoint last year. All right? We'll go through the book, but we don't go through the PowerPoints. Instead, I do the PowerPoints on my own, and those are the lectures that are out there already. All right? So you can see this is the course description. Again, I'm not going to sit and read it to you. It is a course in the C# programming language. All right? If you have absolutely no experience with programming, it's totally fine. I will tell you the gentlemen here do have some experience because the last 8 or 9 weeks in the class they took last semester, they learned JavaScript. And you're going to find that much of the stuff that you learned last semester will pertain, and you won't have to learn, it's going to work exactly. I don't mean close, I mean exactly the same way that what you had last semester. But for those of you who are brand new, don't worry about it. All right. I had a student, who started last semester or in the middle of the semester like this. Angie, she's right now, she's going to be taking the fourth semester class. She did really well. And she had basically no computer experience before that. All right. So this is what you're supposed to get out of this course. All right. So typically what we do, and I don't even know if I did it with you guys or not last semester, but I'm going to try to do it this semester. At the end of the semester, they open up this wall that's right here. It's a temporary wall. And you've got this room and the room next to us. Ms. Bruggeman comes in and you do an electronic course evaluation. It's 100% anonymous. All right. You will evaluate the class. You will evaluate the book. You will evaluate the instructor. And I leave during that time. All right. They give you about a half an hour to do it. You also do, if you're taking an online class, you do your online instructor then also. All right. But the reason that I'm telling you that is this is the stuff that you should be looking at the end of the semester. Now, typically what I've done is at the 9-week point, I've got my own thing that I pass out. I just give a hard copy. I leave the room. You don't write anything. You don't have to write a thing on it if you don't want to accept numbers, where it's like 1 to 5, where 1, you aren't doing the job. 5, you're doing a real good job type of an idea. And I typically try to do that. Why? Because, well, what if the class just really blew as far as you're concerned? It just stunk. Well, if you do an evaluation on it in week 16, the class is already over. But if I have you do an evaluation and it's in week 8 and half or more of you are telling me we're not doing this, whatever this is, gives me a chance to try to, kind of reload type of thing. All right. But we're going to start with console applications. We'll also do GUI applications. What's the difference? A console application, if you've ever seen a DOS type of screen where you've got a black background and just white text, those are going to be what our console applications are going to look like. All right, and we'll almost immediately get into GUI applications, graphical user interface type of applications, where we'll be drawing stuff on the screen. And if you say, well, I can't draw. No, you don't literally draw. You just put stuff on the screen. All right. All right, so we'll do that. We'll talk about variables, branching, and loops. Later on in the semester, we get into arrays and collections, exception handling and data validation. And in about chapter 12 or so, I think it is, we get into object-oriented programming. I will tell you right now that people by and large have told me that's the hardest part of the class. All right. And we will go over a lot of this book. All right. Just so you know, we will go over a lot of it. All right. Now, the policies, if you have any questions on anything, you should always take a look at the Rankin handbook. You go out to rankin.edu, it is online. All right. I will tell you, and it's a good thing for those of you who are in here, that over time, this has changed. All right. For instance, it looks like at least you have blue jeans on. That's considered a no-no at this institution. Okay. And I don't know, is that a Rankin shirt? And if you don't have one, I understand. You have a chance to buy one. If you go over to the other building, they may have them over there already this morning too. But you're only supposed to wear Rankin jackets. You're only supposed to wear Rankin. I had to go and pay. This was $10 to have them add this to this. All right. How do I know that? Because my wife did it. She went over to some place there, and it's a registered place in Wentzville, some ad place, and they put it on there. All right. But you have any questions on any of that stuff, it should be in the handbook. They're being a little bit more lax, especially with COVID. All right. But I'll just tell you this real quick, and maybe you guys have heard this, or I don't think you have. But I still remember we had a student who was in here about 3 or 4 years ago, and he didn't end up staying real long. And you'll know why after you hear this. But he didn't like to shave. All right. And he'd come in with stubble all over his face. So one day he comes in, it's kind of easier to do that now with masks on. But he came in with stubble on, and Mr. Corrigan, his name was Eric, and he said, Mr. Corrigan said, "Eric, how you doing?" Eric didn't even know who the heck he was. He's like, "I'm fine. How are you?" And he's like, "Forget to shave this morning?" He's like, "Oh yeah, I guess I did." And so Mr. Corrigan literally out of his back pocket pulls out a can of shave cream, and he pulls out a razor, and he goes, "That's okay, because you will now." And he goes, "Yeah, right." He goes, "I'm not kidding." And the guy next door, he's the one who runs the department. All right. He found that out right away. He's like, "I'm not joking." He said, "I want you to get in there and do that right now." 2 days later, he did the same thing. And as he was walking out to shave, he let out a real big, loud F-bomb, all right, which didn't, endear him at all to Mr. Corrigan. All right. And he ended up, after a while, he even talked about, maybe I should change my sex and I should call myself Erica because women don't have to shave. It was ugly. All right. But he ended up leaving. Okay. The point is this: if these things do come off, all right, if you've got a beard or if you got more stubbly like beard like I have, all right, that's okay. But they don't like it when people are in here and there's, like I said, all those rules are out in the handbook. All right. All right. So attendance, the way that this works, I'm taking attendance every day. Let's pretend. We hope it doesn't happen. But let's say Gabriel gets a hold of me next week and says, yeah, I got COVID. Okay? I still have to mark him absent. And if he's gone 2 weeks, I remove him from the class. But he should appeal that. And he'll get back in again. All right? But if you if you decide you're going to come every other day, you get a maximum of 6 absences in here. After you've got your 4th absence, and some of you have filled this out already, there's a form. I don't have it up right now. But there's a form that you have to sign. And it just says, hey, you missed 4 times. You got 2 more you can miss. And I sign it, you sign it. Then if you miss again, I said, hey, now you missed 5 times. You only have 1 more. Then you got to take it over to Mr. Corrigan next door and have him sign it. Then if you miss a 6th time, I say, hey, you missed a 6th time. You got to go over to the other building and have either Mr. Glenn, Patrick, or Mr. Fan, Brandon, one of them have to sign it. And if you miss again, then I have to do a removal from class. We had a gentleman who was in here last semester. You guys maybe remember him because he sat over there, that he had a tendency to not come. All right, and he didn't stay. The thing is, if you decide this is not for you, I understand that. It's not for everybody in the world. I get that. But if you decide it's not for you, and let's say it's 4 weeks in or whatever, and I'm not going to drop now. I'm not going to get any money back. I'm just not going to come anymore. After you reach 7, unless you've got COVID or some other excuse, you get what's called a WF, which means you're withdrawn, but you failed. That will never be removed from your transcript. That F is going to be part of your GPA, even if you come back or if you go to another program or whatever. And if you ever go to another institution, another college, that F is going to be on your transcript. So all I say is if for some reason you decide this is not for you, just go over and talk to Patrick, all right, next door and say, hey, I want to withdraw. I hope none of you do, but I'm just telling you because that's the way it is. All right. Tardies really aren't that big of a thing anymore, but please try to get here by 8:05. All right. And like I said, I'm in here every morning. This morning I was in here, before everybody. I was in here at 10 to 6. All right. Academic honesty. Well, hopefully that just makes sense. It's expected. You're not going to cheat. How's that? When we come in here, you have 4 different types of things, 5 different things that you're graded on. You'll get homeworks. Okay. You will get labs. What's the difference between a homework and a lab? Not too much. They're both going to be problems for you to work on. You get written tests. All right. And those written tests, I'll give you hard copies of, and I'll give you a week to work on them. The answers are in the book, but you have to read the chapter to figure out what the answers are. All right. All right. That's 3. We have what are called HOTS, which is a hands-on test. When we have hands-on tests, all right, that you get the entire 4 hours to work on it. Even if it's simple, I dedicate the entire period to it. I know my counterparts at St. Louis, for example, you'll have your first test next week already. All right, and when they take their first test, they're like, I give them an hour and a half. I don't do that. Sometimes, especially if you haven't taken a test for a while, and it's like, I want to make sure I do this well. I want to double check it, triple check it, so you have time to do that. If you do get it done in an hour and a half, great. Not a problem. But you've got the entire time if you need it. And it just made me think too, if any of you have any kind of a learning disability that you want me to know about, all right, then just email me, see me before class, see me after class, etc. I had a student who got through the program 3 years ago. He was autistic. All right. He literally could not walk up here and ask me a question. He sat right next to Gabriel here, but he'd email me whenever he had a problem. And he didn't want me to come over by him either. So I'll handle that any way that's comfortable for you, is what I'm saying. All right. This is the grading scale. And just so you know, you look at this and you go, oh, I can get a D. Yeah. But a D will literally end up going into the grade book, I believe, as an F. Because the way they look at it here, if you're under 74 and a half, you failed the course. All right. So I know that with some people, because I've had this before where people come up to, well, I got a D in when I was in high school and it was not a problem. That this ain't high school. All right. That's just the way that they do it here. And you'll notice there's no minus grades. All right. And I have very little control over this. All right. And I'll show you what I mean in just a couple minutes. All right. Okay. So this is pretty much how it's set up. I don't know if it's exactly 10% for written tests, but it's supposed to be pretty close. You'll notice that 50% is for hands-on tests. All right. That's kind of tough, because I've got 3 kids, and it's funny because I've got 3 daughters, all 3 are adopted. All right. And with all 3 of my daughters, it was like when we went to school to have their meetings, it was like the same kid. It was like, Taylor's a really good student. She always pays attention. She's always answering questions whenever I ask her, but she really can't take tests. Mackenzie's a really good student. And they did that for all 3 of the kids. And I realize some people, and maybe that isn't fair, but that's just the way that it's set up. So by and large, when you work on these, your written tests will be worth about 25 points, your homework 25 points, your labs 25 points, and your tests between 100 and 200 points. All right, the hands-on test, okay? In addition, at the end of the semester, you are required to create an electronic portfolio. And that includes the people who were in this class last semester who did not create one. All right, you are required to do that. All right. All right. You are expected to use Inside Rankin to gain access to your information. So you should know. I will tell you, because I've been accused of this in the past. You really don't grade stuff very quickly. What I try to do is if I've got something, if I give out an assignment, by and large, almost always, I give you a week to complete it. All right. And on that day or on that weekend after that, so let's say it's a Wednesday, maybe the Saturday, I try to grade everybody's. So I've had people before, not maybe none of you, but I've had people in the past who've said, hey, I got my stuff done early. Can you grade it? Let me know how I didn't know. All right. I try to grade everybody's together. All right. That's just the way that I do things. All right. Now, if you decide or discover that you're struggling in the class, Angie, who was with all of you last semester, she's taken this class already, and she has volunteered to tutor. There is no charge for you to have a tutor. All right. She gets paid $10 an hour to tutor. She can, I don't know, since she's not in the class, I believe she can come in here during your class, during your lab time, and she can tutor you. I believe that that's okay to do that. She couldn't do it last semester with you guys because she was in the class. The rule is you can't be in the class and tutor in the class at the same time. They don't let you do that because you're paying to be in here, but then they're paying you back, and they just won't do that. All right. Again, I already mentioned if you've got any kind of disabilities. So if you need tutorial assistance, see me first or talk to Patrick. If you've got a disability and you don't want to talk to me, talk to Patrick. The career services that are in here. All right. I've got a student who's got just one. I mean, I lost a bunch of students a year ago when we did go to the electronic formats. People just stopped coming. All right. So I have one second-year student right now who's going to graduate. And then Angie, who's a tweener, she'll have one more class after this one. All right. But we do provide career services. All right. And what will happen is you will sign up. And if you might have been signed up already, you will get listings of jobs that are open, etc. In addition, I don't know how they're going to work it this year because every semester they have a job fair here and one in St. Louis, also one in Perryville, which you probably wouldn't want to drive there for. All right, but the up until this past last semester, they've always been in-person job fairs. All right, but they went to virtual, and you know the way it looks, it'll probably be like that this semester too, if I had to guess. All right, snow days and campus emergencies. If you look on there that says this is the Inside Rankin web portal, it says, do I want to open that link? Yes, I do. So if I go over there, when you go in here, this is, you know, to your Inside Rankin, you should get a notice if school has been canceled. I mean, we've been, I think at least, unbelievably fortunate with our weather so far this year. And we seem to average about a day a semester where we don't have class. And since I've been here, it's always been because of ice storms. All right. I mean, and if it comes, if any of you are making a long drive and you look and they're like, well, we're still having class, and you can't make it because of that, that's why you get those 7 days or 6 days that you can miss. All right. That's why, you know, hopefully that's what you use them for if you literally are sick or you have a car problem or whatever. All right. But the way that Rankin works, just so you're aware of this, is they do not announce cancellations on television or on radio. You should have already signed up for the Rankin notification system. All right. And if you haven't, they'll probably talk to you about it today at the orientation. And you will get a text and or an email, you know, however you want it set up. You know, most people get both. So unless you are advised otherwise, you should assume that classes will be held. Another story, I'm just going to tell you this really quickly because I found it funny. This was before I got here. I've been here in July, it'll be 5 years. Before that, I taught for almost 25 years. I'm originally from Wisconsin. I taught in the Wisconsin Technical College system. All right. But about 7 or 8 years ago, what happened was they had a bad snowstorm in St. Louis. The president came, you know, got up, lived, I guess, near the campus, said, no, this is bad, cancel class. Guess what? They canceled it for all the campuses. Here, they had flurries in the morning, but all classes were canceled all day. That's why they went to this kind of thing. They've got what they call spies, so they've got people that they contact in Wentzville when the weather seems bad, and they ask them how it is. I will tell you, like Mr. Corrigan right there, he lives out in South County. He drives at least an hour, I think, to get here most every day. 45 minutes, I think, if he can really move on the highway. All right. So the rest of what's in here is a syllabus of what we're going to be doing virtually every day. All right. Now that said, notice what it says. It's listed on the following pages. This schedule may change. No, this schedule will change. Stuff will happen. It'll turn out that you need another period to work on something or whatever. I don't technically, some instructors come in and immediately change this. I'm not one of those instructors. But I will always try to let you know at the end of each class what we'll be doing the next class. I will always try to start the next period by very quickly saying what we did the previous period and what we're going to do today. All right, and if I forget that, just please remind me. Now, a couple of you have let me know that you've had book issues or whatever. I did go out to Muroc's website, and again, I gave them to you three. You guys don't have them yet, but if you need them, let me know. And what they have out there that you can actually go out and I don't know if it's going to open them. Okay, good. Is chapter 3 and chapter 2. All right, so those are on the flash drive that I gave you. So what about chapter 1, Jeff? Well, I sent an email yesterday to Muroc. I've got a woman that I deal with. It's a small company out of San Diego. All right, but I've gotten to know them pretty well over the years. And because I used them when I was a teacher in Wisconsin as well. So I've got, you know, Judy is the woman that I work with out of San Diego. And I sent an email and I said, hey, can I please get a PDF or a link or something for chapter 1? I sent that out yesterday afternoon. They have not returned my email. All right. So, but don't let that worry you if you say, well, I don't have the book yet. I'll do the best I can to get that for you. Otherwise, I've got to go over to our copier. I've got to make a copy of each page, and I got to do it like that. I really don't want to do that if I can help it. All right. So, with that said, just so you see this, today, Today it says, so we've done the class introduction. We talked about the student handbook. There is no department handbook. I don't know why they tell us to keep that in there. If you don't know this already, you get 2 different grades in this class. You get an A, B, C, D, or F. You also get what's called a WEG, or a work ethic grade. All right? And they have done that for years here. When I first came here, I thought it's kind of screwy, but I actually think it's a good thing. And basically, it's based on your performance. Do you come to class on time? If you're called upon, and I don't do a lot of that where I ask you stuff, but if you're called upon, do you engage with the instructor type of thing, that kind of stuff? Do you do that kind of stuff? And the more you do it, so Gabriel gets done a little bit early, and there's a bunch of hands up. So he walks over by Christopher and he goes, hey, what's the problem? Maybe I can help you. That's going above and beyond the call of duty. All right. If you don't do that, it's okay. But what there's like 3 or 4 different grades you get. One is does not meet. And what is that? You don't come to class. And I had a guy here a couple of years ago. He came to class every day and literally slept 100% of the time. That does not meet. I don't know what the difference between that and not being here is. All right. There's one that needs improvement. So you're trying, but you've missed quite a few times, etc. Then the one most people get is an ME, which means meets expectations. All right. That's kind of like, a C or a B. And then there's another one that's called EE, which is exceeds expectations. All right. So you've been doing an exemplary work in class, and or you're helping others, etc. All right. All right. So you will see, and like I said, you will get both of those. The internet usage sheet, I don't even know what the heck that is. So I'm not going to talk about that. Now, the 3 of you here, have you ever heard of GitHub? Do you know what GitHub is? All right. And if you don't, it's totally fine. But what I'd like you to do, you can do it today if you want, or you can do it at home. It doesn't really matter. But what you are going to have to do is you are going to have to go out to github.com. All right. GitHub is what's called a software versioning system. It's a way that you can save stuff out to the cloud, for lack of better words. I'm making it real simplistic. Now, if you do this, it's pretty much the way yours should look. And you'll want to click where it says sign up. I would sign in, of course, because I've already got an account. But when you go to sign up, you will create an account. All right. Now, last year I asked you guys to put in basically your whatever your login is. All right. Like, I don't know, A. McCardle, something like that, or A. McCardle Rankin. You should put in something. Don't put in something that's unprofessional. All right. If you don't want to put the word Rankin in there, you don't have to. And you can also have more than one of these accounts. But this account basically you use during your tenure here. There will be, when you get done with your homework, basically what you'll do is you'll push it out to GitHub. And I will show you how to do that. It's not really very, I don't think you guys, am I right? It's not really that difficult to do once you've done it a couple times. All right. So we will talk about that, but go in there and create an account. All right. Again, when you get some time, that's fine. So the other stuff that we're supposed to do today is we're supposed to go over chapter 1. We are going to do that. Again, I've got chapter 1, and I realize that if you don't have the book, you don't have chapter 1. All right? But we will go over it. I don't want to start on that because it's 8:50 already. Okay? So it's a little bit early, but you 4 take a break, and you 3, if you would please, go over to the other building. And like I said, I have no idea how long that orientation is going to be. All right. Last year, I went down and sat in there with them, and it was a little over an hour, maybe an hour and 15 minutes. So I don't know if you guys remember, it was about that. Hopefully it won't be that long. All right. And then just please come back up here. But I'm giving you a couple minutes if you have to go to the bathroom or you want to get a drink or something. So go ahead. You guys take a break. And we are going to resume then once the 3 of them are back. Okay.